Listen, DHT is not just non-estrogenic, meaning like it doesn't aromatize into estradiol, but it also actively turns off estrogen at the source. There's been a lot of discussion about DHT and its ability to block estrogen or block gene expression. There was Derek's video from NPMD, which he showed that there's some gene blocking effect of estrogen from DHT at a point that is subsequent from estrogen activating and agonizing estrogen receptors. But let's just stop for a second. If you took exogenous DHT, or if you were on injections and you were aromatizing a little past your zone, and then you put a little bit of transcranial testosterone cream on, and the scrotum where it's highly vascularized, there's a lot of 5-alpha reductase 2 converting to DHT, you would get an estrogen lowering or an estrogen blocking effect from that. So even though DHT itself is not an AI, DHT derivatives derived directly from DHT, like primobolan and masteron, do block estrogen. They end up lowering estrogen on the bloods. This is a DHT derivative derived directly from DHT, just made to be a little more anabolic. So what I want to do is truly break down the science of this, because there's some gene regulation for aromatase that actually gets modified by DHT, which really does modulate aromatase activity and thus conversion to estradiol. So let's break it down. DHT versus estrogen, how DHT silently suppresses estradiol everywhere, and how it can be used to supercharge sexual function in a TRT protocol. All right, before we start the video, look, Cortex Labs, which is my company, is a TRT guided sexual dysfunction resolution and performance optimization company. We got a range of different products ranging from mastering testosterone cypionate. Yeah, this is a video course that I created for facilitating libido and erections on cypionate, which is hard to do. We show you every protocol for how to do that and a fail-safe protocol if nothing else works. Get that video course, livecortex.com. Listen, I'm a coach on TRT. It is what I do. 99% really of my inquiries and coaching is with people that are on HRT, TRT, HRT+, that have libido and erection problems and need them resolved. That is my specialty. You can hire me for a one-off consult or one-on-one packages if you need serious help in under a minute. livecortex.com. Stop having to fuss with your protocol to get sexual function back. Let me handle it. Okay, so if you look at the literature on dihydrotestosterone, there are a lot of really, really interesting things that it does, things that it metabolizes into do, and how that interacts with estrogen. In this case, a metabolite of DHT, 3-bravo-androstenediol, is a selective agonist at specifically the estrogen receptor beta, which actually acts in a pro-estrogen kind of way, but only through the ERB pathway, which is not feminizing, not negative to sexual function. It's only kind of pro to sexual function. But this just goes to prove, like, DHT itself is not just as simple as, oh, it's like the greater metabolized or reduced version of testosterone. It does a lot of really interesting things. Here's the bottom line of the video. DHT does block estrogen in many ways. So using a transdermal externally applied DHT gel or oil, which you can find in all courses that I've launched and that launch moving forward, specifically mastering testosterone cypionate for resources, and transcranial testosterone cream, which converts a lot and rapidly to dihydrotestosterone. These things have estrogen blocking effects, and they can enhance sexual function when estrogen is over the range for you at the tissue level to enhance erections, libido, climax, sensation, and the entire arousal process. So that's the major point. Major takeaways, layman terms takeaways. Number one, DHT is a non-aromatizable androgen, as you guys know, so it does not convert to estrogen. It is not going to convert to estrogen. In of itself, that reduces aromatization because DHT actually competes for androgen receptors versus testosterone and has a much greater affinity and stays active at the androgen receptor for a lot longer. So in and of itself, just because it's a major agonist of the androgen receptor, that has an anti-estrogenic effect alone. But here's the critical part that a lot of people don't know. In Leydig cells, okay, in the testes, DHT actually downregulates a gene called the CYP19A1 gene, all right? The CYP19A1 gene. DHT downregulates that gene, which reduces local estrogen production. So this is in the Leydig cells where it really, really matters, by lowering aromatase enzyme levels. CYP19A1 is a gene that provides instructions for making aromatase enzymes. Okay, so if you inhibit that, if you downregulate its expression, aromatase is going to function suboptimally or in a lower fashion, which would mean you yield less estrogen. So even though DHT is not an AI, it is modifying aromatase activity via modifying the gene underlying the creation of aromatase enzymes and thereby lowering estradiol. Like, check this paper out. Dihydrotestosterone treatment downregulates P450 aromatase expression, which in layman's terms means DHT reduces the production of aromatase. So how does this all fit together in the interest of enhancing sexual function when estrogen's a little too high, or blocking a little bit of the estrogen so that sexual function can be primed, because estrogen always inhibits sexual function when it's over your particular sweet spot? Okay, well, number one, as I said, DHT doesn't become estrogen. Number two, it lowers aromatase expression via AR-mediated, androgen receptor-mediated gene suppression. The studies show that tissues exposed to DHT, tissues at the tissue level that are exposed to lots of DHT, make less estrogen in response to that. And some of DHT's metabolites dampen estrogen receptor signaling, reducing E2 effects further. So whether it's a scrotal cream, okay, testosterone transcrotal cream, or it's DHT itself, or it's Masteron or Primabon, or it's Proviron, even in small doses, these things actively suppress estrogen locally, like in tissues. And I think, in order of like efficacy, it would be DHT itself. So you get transdermal DHT, which again, you can find in mastering testosterone cypionates. Then I think Primo and Masteron are probably second best at doing that. And then you'd be looking at things like Proviron that will inhibit estrogen to a minor extent. Now, why does this matter on TRT? Like adding either DHT or a small bit of transcrotal cream, testosterone cream, to your injection protocol. Why does this matter? Well, number one, it balances the T/E ratio. We all know that's important. It does so in a way without the crash that comes from AIs. DHT is the active androgen and penile-mediated, nitric oxide-mediated erections. DHT is what's responsible for giving you girth, that plumpness, and it drastically facilitates erections. So let's talk about some protocols, just to give you some examples. It's like if you were dosing 120 milligrams of testosterone cypionate per week, you were injecting every day into the glute or the delt. So you're getting it into the muscle, hopefully with a 5/8" needle, which is really the only way to guarantee that happens. And, estrogen's at 40 because you're also using 300 IU of HCG every other day. So you're getting a lot of the androgens, you're anabolic, you feel good, you look good, your energy's good, but sexual function might be like all right, but not amazing. So in this case, if you got actual transdermal DHT, you would use a very, very small dose, something like 5 milligrams total. And transdermal DHT usually comes with a dropper. So you got to kind of measure out how much each drop is based on the concentration of DHT. Usually I get 20% DHT concentration. Again, you can find that in Mastering Testosterone Cypionate. So a small, very, very small dose, like a 5 to 10 milligram dose applied to the testicles or the penile shaft will inhibit local estrogen activity and enhance sexual function if you need some of that estrogen activity reduced a little bit, which if you're over in estrogen, usually you do. So that alone, I've seen time and time again, increases sexual function, gives people better erections. They wake up with wood. They've got boners all night. This is stuff they're not achieving on TRT. Like plenty of people on TRT are not having nocturnal wood and morning wood. And things like this end up bringing sensation back. Like it was okay and fine, but now it's supercharged. Same thing with climax ability, same thing with libido. All right, so that's that. That's strategy number one. Here's a separate protocol. You got your 120 milligrams of test. You're doing 330 IU, 300 IU of HCG every other day. Estrogen's a little above your range. Sexual function's okay, but not amazing. But then you add, like I said in a recent video, a small dose of 100 milligrams per milliliter testosterone cream, maybe a full pump or a half a pump, every day or every other day transcrotally, and guess what you get? You get a hyperconversion in the testicular area and the sexual tissues from test to dihydrotestosterone. And then again, you support an androgen dominance while not crushing estrogen, but by blocking it a little bit to get you the erections, the sensation, the climax, the arousal, and all the sexual function to be optimized. In those cases, what I found is like you can have your cake and eat it too. You can dose 120 to 150, which for some people is actually just too high of a dose if they have HCG in the protocol because it aromatizes too much and they can't get sexual function straight. But you can do that and then just use DHT or a test cream to create more DHT to then balance the estrogen that comes from it without having to take an AI. So you have your cake and eat it too. You have your anabolic, energy-inducing, metabolism revving, strength-inducing, confidence-inducing dose of test of 120 to 150. And you don't have to go down to 80 milligrams a week or 100 milligrams a week. So you have your cake and you can eat it too by having the sexual function, just by blocking some local estrogen activity, inhibiting aromatase gene expression, downregulating it from DHT, and eating your cake too. I guess the same thing can be said for Proviron, but I can tell you that it happens at a weaker level, right, to a weaker extent than DHT and even test cream itself. I honestly at this point believe that test cream is more powerful at producing DHT. Proviron, you gotta dose at least 25 milligrams to get this effect, and some people need to go to between 25 and 75 milligrams a day to get this DHT-like effect, which blocks estrogen a little bit and enhances sexual function. You'll see people all the time taking Proviron and suddenly their dick's back, libido's back, everything works great. Okay, I'm not going to give you specific advice on Primo and Masteron. You can find that in Mastering Testosterone and Cypionate, the video course that I created, which is super popular and everybody loves. But there are protocols for Masteron and Primobolan to get this effect in that video course. Bottom line is, boys, it's not just that DHT blocks the gene expression subsequent to estrogen receptor binding, which is one of the things we knew and what Derek pointed out from MPMD on a video, but it's also downregulating aromatase gene expression. This is something so far no one has discussed. No one has found this in the literature. I found it, and this is one of the reasons that DHT is a secret weapon for you to regain sexual function, vitality, erection quality, all the good stuff on TRT when you're not achieving it. Sometimes TRT has to be HRT, right? It's got to be hormone replacement therapy and not just TRT itself. It's got to be HCG, it's got to be DHEA, sometimes DHT, sometimes an additional layer of test cream, sometimes some Prima, sometimes some Masteron, sometimes Proviron. And for some people, it's the only way to truly dial in and have their cake and eat it too. Now you have an additional mechanism by which DHT helps your protocols. Hope that's been useful. Hope you can add it in and have some success. All right, as I said in the beginning, my primary specialty is coaching people that are on TRT, HRT to revive libido and erections. That is what I do. We've got a one-call option, and we also have a one-on-one packages. The one-on-one packages are for people, number one, with the budget. So if you're a serious business individual that wants to focus on your life and business and wants to stop messing around with your TRT protocol because you can't get it straight, leave it up to me. This is what I do. I'm the specialist on this. I'd love to fix your protocol. You can hire me for any one-on-one package or a one-off call if you need in under a minute at livecortex.com. Like I said, focus on you and your life and whatever you're doing. Leave fixing libido and erections and dialing in your protocol in for me. A lot of stuff in my history being an entrepreneur, like certain marketing stuff, there's no way I'm going to go learn it or spend the time doing it. I'm paying a specialist to do it and they get results. We get results. Regarding testosterone cypionate, sorry, I had an Alzheimer's moment for a second there. This is the most popular product we have right now. It is facilitating libido and erections on cypionate because it's a pretty hard ester to dial in. So whether it's DHT itself, Proviron, Masteron, Primobolan, AIs, changing your dose, finding a fail-safe protocol that works for everybody, it's all in the Mastering Testosterone Cypionate video course, and it's all geared toward getting you supercharged libido, just the teenage stuff, crazy erections, great libido. Listen, I've been doing this for years. I put it all in a video course. Instant download. Description of this video or livecortex.com. All right, the video is, that sums it up. Hold on. That's been the sorry. Give me this. We're done here. Been an absolute pleasure hanging out with you, boys. If you would do me two favors. One, hit the like button. Makes a huge difference. Really does. If you just want to do anything for me for the content I put out, Just hit the like button, bro. Sub to the channel. We are 33,000 subscribers and strong, one of the fastest growing TRT communities on the web, where we break down the science of stuff and talk about shit that no one else is talking about. I'd love to have you on board. Otherwise, kick ass, rock on. Hope you enjoy the rest of your day. More content coming this week, as well as a live stream on Saturday. And boys, I'll talk to you on the next one.